Most people believe that earning more money automatically means becoming financially secure. That belief sounds logical, but in real life, it often leads to frustration. In the United States, millions of individuals earn high salaries yet feel constant financial pressure, while others with modest earnings quietly build long-term stability. The reason behind this difference is simple but rarely explained clearly. Income and wealth are not the same thing. Income is the money you receive regularly. It usually comes from a job, a business, or professional services. It shows up as a paycheck, a direct deposit, or client payments. Wealth, on the other hand, is what remains after income is received, managed, saved, and grown over time. Wealth represents ownership, control, and financial resilience. Understanding this difference changes how people make decisions about spending, saving, and planning for the future. In the American financial system, income is highly visible, salaries are discussed openly, job titles are associated with pay ranges, and success is often measured by how much someone earns per year. Wealth is quieter, it does not announce itself. It is built slowly and often goes unnoticed because it focuses on accumulation rather than appearance. Consider two individuals living in the same city. One earns $180,000 per year working in a high-pressure corporate role. The other earns $75,000 annually in a stable profession. The first person drives a new luxury car, lives in an expensive apartment, and frequently upgrades lifestyle choices. The second person lives below their means, avoids unnecessary debt, and consistently sets aside money for long-term use. On the surface, the higher earner appears more successful. But over time, the second individual may quietly accumulate assets, while the first remains dependent on the next paycheck. Income stops when work stops. Wealth continues working even when active effort slows down. This distinction becomes especially important during economic uncertainty, job transitions, health challenges, or retirement years. High income provides comfort today. Wealth provides security tomorrow. Another key difference lies in how income is taxed and spent. In the United States, income is typically taxed immediately. Before a paycheck reaches your bank account, federal, state, and payroll taxes are deducted. What remains must cover housing, food, transportation, insurance, and daily expenses. If spending rises along with income, very little is left to build anything lasting. Wealth, however, often benefits from time, patience, and strategic allocation. Assets such as ownership in businesses, long-term investments, or income-producing resources can grow gradually. Their value compounds not because of constant labor, but because of consistency and time in the system. One of the biggest traps in American society is lifestyle inflation. As income increases, expenses tend to increase at the same pace or faster. A higher salary leads to a larger home, newer vehicles, premium subscriptions, frequent dining out, and upgraded routines. While none of these are inherently wrong, they become dangerous when they consume the full increase in income. This creates a cycle where someone earns more but feels no closer to financial freedom. Wealth-focused individuals think differently. Instead of asking, "How much can I afford to spend?" they ask, "How much can I afford to keep?" This shift in thinking changes everything. It redirects attention from consumption to accumulation. It prioritizes long-term stability over short-term comfort. Debt plays a critical role in the income versus wealth conversation. In the U.S., easy access to credit creates the illusion of affordability. Credit cards, auto loans, and financing plans allow people to enjoy today while paying tomorrow. Income supports debt payments, but debt works against wealth building. Monthly obligations reduce flexibility and limit future choices. Wealth builders treat debt carefully. They distinguish between obligations that support long-term value and those that only fund temporary satisfaction. Their goal is not to avoid spending entirely, but to ensure that spending does not permanently drain future capacity. Another important factor is time. Income is directly tied to hours worked or services delivered. Even business owners often exchange time for money. Wealth, however, is built by allowing money, resources, or systems to operate over time. This is why consistency matters more than intensity. Small, regular actions repeated over many years often outperform large but inconsistent efforts. In the United States, retirement planning highlights this difference clearly. Many workers rely solely on income until their later years, assuming they will figure it out later. Others begin setting aside portions of income early, allowing decades of growth to work quietly in the background. When retirement arrives, the difference becomes obvious. One group worries about expenses, the other has options. Wealth is also psychological. It provides peace of mind. Knowing that unexpected expenses can be handled without panic changes how people approach life. It reduces stress, improves decision-making, and allows individuals to focus on opportunity rather than survival. Income alone cannot provide this peace. A high earner without reserves remains vulnerable. A lower earner with structured savings and long-term assets often feels more secure. This reality challenges common assumptions about success in America. The media frequently celebrates income milestones, six figures, promotions, record bonuses. These achievements feel rewarding, but they are incomplete measures. Without retention, planning, and discipline, income becomes temporary comfort rather than lasting progress. Understanding the difference between income and wealth is not about rejecting ambition. It is about directing ambition wisely. Income is a tool. Wealth is the outcome of how that tool is used. One supports the present, the other prepares for the future. As we move forward, it becomes essential to explore how wealth is actually built, what habits separate earners from builders, and why many intelligent, hardworking people remain stuck despite strong incomes. The next part will examine the mechanisms, behaviors, and strategic choices that transform income into lasting financial strength within the American system. Building wealth is less about how much you earn and more about how you use what you earn. In the United States, the most effective wealth builders are not necessarily the highest earners. They are the ones who make deliberate choices that allow their money to grow and work for them. This begins with understanding that wealth grows when income is consistently directed toward accumulation, not just consumption. One of the first habits of wealth-focused individuals is clear budgeting. This is not about restricting life, but about controlling it. They know exactly where every dollar goes, how much is saved, and how much is allocated for investments that increase in value over time. In contrast, income-focused individuals often operate on autopilot, spending whatever remains after bills and lifestyle demands. Over decades, this difference compounds into significant disparities in financial freedom. Another key behavior is saving with purpose. In the U.S., savings accounts are widely used, but keeping money idle is not enough. Wealth-oriented Americans prioritize strategies that allow money to grow, such as retirement accounts, stocks, bonds, and ownership in assets that appreciate. The difference is subtle but powerful. Income alone buys comfort today, while wealth-oriented strategies secure freedom for tomorrow. Investing is often misunderstood as risky, but when done correctly, it is a tool for stability. Wealth builders focus on long-term trends, diversification, and predictable growth. They understand that volatility in the short term does not determine ultimate success. Instead, they plan for years and decades, not months. Even modest contributions, when consistent, create substantial impact over time. This is the essence of compounding, a concept that magnifies the distinction between income and wealth. Ownership plays a critical role in wealth accumulation. This could be a stake in a business, real estate that generates rental income, or shares in companies that grow steadily over time. Ownership shifts the relationship between effort and reward. Instead of trading hours for dollars, wealth owners earn continuously as assets increase in value. In contrast, income earners remain limited by the number of hours they can work. The same principle applies to intellectual property, royalties, and digital assets that generate returns long after initial effort. Debt management is another crucial factor. Americans often face pressures from student loans, mortgages, auto loans, and credit cards. While some debt can be leveraged to create opportunity, uncontrolled debt consumes income and prevents wealth building. Strategic debt management ensures that obligations support future growth rather than hinder it. Wealth-oriented individuals are selective, using debt only when it contributes to asset creation or long-term advantage. Mindset also differentiates income earners from wealth builders. Many Americans equate success with lifestyle and immediate gratification. Wealth-oriented people measure success by financial independence, the ability to make choices, and the freedom to handle challenges. This mindset allows them to prioritize long-term planning over short-term impulses, resisting societal pressures to upgrade lifestyle every time income increases. Education and awareness are part of this process. Wealth builders continuously learn about financial systems, market trends, taxation, and legal structures that protect and grow assets. They understand that knowledge itself is a tool that can amplify wealth. They ask questions like, how can this investment grow over 10 years? How does taxation impact long-term returns? Which structures allow compounding to work efficiently? In contrast, those focused solely on income rarely explore these dimensions deeply, leaving potential untapped. Consistency is key. Wealth does not appear overnight. Even in high-income households, spending more than earned prevents progress. In moderate income households, disciplined saving and strategic investing accumulate into meaningful wealth over decades. This emphasizes a critical truth. Patience often outweighs high earnings in determining financial security. Wealth also enables options that income alone cannot provide. It allows career flexibility, time to develop skills, opportunities to support family or community, and freedom to take calculated risks. It reduces dependence on job security, workplace politics, and external pressures. This autonomy is one of the most underrated aspects of wealth, yet it profoundly affects life quality and decision-making. Understanding income versus wealth changes retirement planning. Many Americans believe saving a fixed percentage of income for retirement is enough. While this is a start, wealth-oriented planning involves multiple streams: investments, real estate, business equity, and liquid reserves. They build layers of financial security that do not rely solely on a pension, social security, or continued employment. This multi-layered approach ensures resilience against unexpected events, inflation, and market shifts. Tax efficiency is another subtle advantage of wealth. Income is taxed immediately. Certain forms of wealth, such as retirement accounts or appreciating assets, can defer taxation or benefit from lower long-term rates. Wealth builders structure finances to minimize unnecessary tax burdens, legally preserving more for growth rather than consumption. Over decades, this strategy can produce results far beyond what high income alone achieves. Another distinction is the ability to handle emergencies. Income-dependent households often face stress when unexpected expenses arise. Wealth-oriented households have reserves and liquid assets, enabling them to manage medical emergencies, economic downturns, or family needs without disruption. The security improves mental well-being and reduces reactive decision-making. Wealth also allows intergenerational impact. Building wealth is not just about personal comfort, but also about creating opportunities for family, education, and legacy. Income alone rarely provides this scope, as it is temporary and tied to active labor. Wealth, strategically accumulated, continues to provide for future generations without requiring continuous effort. Finally, wealth fosters long-term planning. It shifts focus from short-term consumption to sustainable growth. Income provides momentary satisfaction. Wealth builds lasting stability. This perspective fundamentally changes financial behavior, lifestyle choices, and ultimately, quality of life. In summary, income and wealth are two entirely different concepts. Income is the money that flows into your account through work or services. Wealth is the accumulation, preservation, and growth of resources over time. Income can buy temporary comfort, but wealth provides long-term security, freedom, and options. Building wealth requires discipline, patience, strategic allocation, and long-term thinking. It is a mindset that prioritizes future stability over immediate gratification, recognizes the value of ownership, leverages time and compounding, manages debt wisely, and protects assets effectively. Understanding this difference is the first step toward transforming financial reality. By shifting focus from income alone to wealth creation, Americans can achieve true financial resilience, independence, and freedom. The strategies for doing so are not complicated. They are deliberate, consistent, and practical. Income sets the stage. Wealth determines the outcome.